Today we are celebrating 2 years of the wind-up. I'm Jason.
And I'm Trent, and we're here on an unapologetically unprofessional, unfiltered wine journey. And we're saying here, Jase.
Our saying is drink more, try more, learn more. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. 2 years. What a journey.
It has been a journey, Jase. It's been a beautiful journey with you.
It has.
And I wouldn't want to do it with anyone else besides you or maybe my wife.
When you look at me with those piercing eyes, I'm like, I feel a bit uncomfortable, but I agree. As long as we're talking about the wind-up, that's what we're talking about. We're gonna do a bit of reflection, kind of think about the last 12 months and key milestones that happened there. Also do some retrospective around what's working, maybe things that we need to adjust. But before we do that, we're gonna have the wind up thoughts of the week. What have you been thinking about, Trent?
So recently we came back from the glorious and beautiful Central Otago region, and we visited a winery, Mount Edward. And we're lucky to be provided some T-shirts from Mount Edward. And my T-shirt was a momentary lapse of Riesling, which is a play on Pink Floyd's momentary lapse of reason. And you had had bourgogne there, which is also a play on burgundy. So I thought, with the wind up, as we kind of get bigger, we want some merch that's quite funny, quite hilarious, which is very much in line with our personalities as well. So here's a few I'm going to throw at you and see what kind of sticks and what kind of falls.
Let's go.
Okay, first one. You had me at Merlot.
Yeah, not feeling that one.
Jerry Maguire,
Yeah.
You had me at Hello. You had me at Merlot. No?
That's probably lower on my favorites list there, yeah.
I'm here for the right Riesling.
Here for the right Riesling. What's that from? Why that?
I don't know.
Okay, it's not linked to anything. Nah, not feeling that one.
Sip me, baby, one more time.
I like your singing. That's what I like. But Britney, I like. So there's a reference, and I guess it kind of links to our generation.
One of my wife's favorite bands, Wine Direction.
Yeah.
Wine Direction.
Yeah. When you said it twice, I got the connection. That's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
One of my favorite shows. Game of Thrones.
Yep. I like that, and I do like Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. Next one, 50 Shades of Grey. One of your favorite movies.
Yeah, I don't really like that movie. Nor is it a book. Nor the book. Yeah, I haven't read the book. I should say.
50 Shades of Grey. No. Okay. One of the classics. Yeah. I don't know which one you prefer the most. The Grape Father.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I've watched it. They were long. But that's okay. That's probably second.
Can you imagine Grape Father with a kind of logo with a cross
there? Is it a hand or something?
It's
a cross.
Yeah. This is more of another song reference. I think I used this before on you. Wind me up before a go.
Yeah, no, I'm not. No. And when you sing it, I'm like, no, take that off.
Do any of them work?
The Britney one, I don't mind the Britney one. I do think it kind of has to do with what our generation enjoys and what we prefer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do like the Britney one. Good effort.
Hey, Sip me, baby, one more time, okay?
Yeah.
Look out for those T-shirts.
I just thought that could mean something else. But yeah, okay. Let us know in the comments below any slogans related to wine that we should put on our shirts.
Or any other kind of, wine punny puns to kind of put onto our T-shirts.
That's right. No, okay. Good injection of humor into it. I've kind of been thinking about our journey and, humor is important in regards to it. But also, one of my biggest fears is to turn into a wine wanker. And, we started this journey with that whole objective of not being wine wankers. And I feel like I have become one. It's really frustrating and I can't sleep at night because of it. I had my brother visit over from the UK. I haven't seen him in about 5 years. Let him know about the podcast. And he started asking me about it. And then he asked me to describe a wine. And then he just said, mate, you don't talk like that. Why are you talking like that? No one talks like this. And that's when I went, oh, shit, I've become the wine wanker. And it was a concern. And it's always a terminology. Like we've talked about this, the terminology used in the industry can just be a bit complicated or difficult to understand. And looks like I've started adopting that, which pisses me off.
I know.
And I want to change things. And I've been going through some examples. I always think of the great sage advice from Tony Park, but the Grape Crusader, where he said we shouldn't be afraid of the language. Like the language gives us something to help describe wines, and then from there we can determine what we like and don't like. And that absolutely makes sense to me. But there's just some terms where I think maybe we could do better in simplifying it. The one term that I've been thinking about is the term lifted. Right? Lifted is something I've heard. I can understand a concept of lifting someone up.
Yeah.
But when I link it back to wine, I'm not exactly sure what it means, but I think I know what it means.
Are you thinking using emojis?
Emojis is a good thing. And I don't know if that kicked off. I haven't seen many emojis, but we need to resurrect that. But I wanted to explore it and then kind of explain why this concept, maybe it is something that's a challenge. Like looking at the definitions of lifted, Jancis Robinson, World Atlas of Wine, I always refer to the source book that you gave me. She says lifted is a tasting term for a wine with a high but not excessive level of volatile acidity. Such a wine may be said to have lift conferred on it. Does that make sense to you? Does that use stuff that everyone knows about?
No.
Who the hell, like volatile acidity, only through a Mark Maloof episode did I actually learn what that meant. But it's not the common language. Yeah. And it kind of shows, are we making it a bit hard for people to understand it? So the other one that I'd come across in terms of definitions was from the Young Gun of Wines. And they had one which I think I could probably relate to a bit more. Their one is, lifted is a term that typically means a wine is particularly aromatic and pungent. Lifted aromas of passion fruit and cut grass go some way to not just describing the flavors of Sauvignon Blanc, but also their intensity. What do you think of that definition? Does it better explain it?
Yeah, but I think you could do it quite simpler as well. I don't know, when I say lifted, what does it evoke for you though? Like, what do you think of?
Yeah, that's the challenge. I'm thinking, is it about the smell? Is it something about the acid profile is lifting up the wine? I wasn't certain. And so, like, listening to those two definitions, it's about the aroma. And the key word that I picked out of Young Gun of Wines was intensity. There was more an intense aroma. Like for Jancis's one, VA, no one's going to know the common term for that. So it does make me think, right? Like we could use these words, lifted, but can't we just simplify it? And I'm thinking about my brother here. I'm like, am I being a bit of a wine wanker by just using these other terms when I could just say it's more intense aroma?
Yeah.
Right?
That makes more sense, yeah.
It makes more sense. So I guess the thing that I think about is I don't necessarily think it's the winemakers that are introducing this terminology. We had those interviews in Central Otago, and the winemaker said, I just want to make yum wine, or I just want to make delicious wine.
Or they said, this is delicious.
Exactly. It had that accent on it. So it's kind of like, is it the wine critics? Is it others that are influencing it? Let us know in the comments below if you think we really need to be simplifying the terminology where it's appropriate. I think there's things that are wine techniques you can't make up a new term for.
Like malolactic fermentation?
Yeah, exactly.
Autolysis?
How do you put that forward? But there are other descriptors like lifted where I think maybe we could just simplify things and not be a winemaker. That's what I've been thinking about.
No, good thought of the week. I think there's a lot more to unpack around that one, but on to today's episode, right? 2-year anniversary.
Yeah, that's right. It does link to that because, this journey for us has been about not being winemakers and trying to make wine more approachable for those there. And what I wanted to do is kind of take us through memory lane a bit and just thinking about, some of the key things from the last 12 months. And then we'll have a conversation about retrospectively, are we hitting what we were setting out to achieve? What can we do better? So kind of like, if I think about the last 12 months, I said that it's gone by quick, but at the same time, it's gone by slow. We've done so much out there. And so there's probably 4 things that I wanted to discuss and get your thoughts on, and then I'll share with you what our viewers have been giving us. So last 12 months, if you think about the episode that you enjoyed the most, all right, I'll tell you what the viewers and audience listeners have told us, and then does that resonate with you? So in terms of the most popular episode is when Duri worth the hype. Did you know that?
No.
Right? It's a bit surprising, but both audio and video, actually, that's the one with the most people that listen to it.
It makes sense, but it didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
At that time, because I know winter has always been that cult wine, and is it worth the hype? It is a question that we're kind of posing, but I thought it'd been something else.
Yeah. What's your, if you think about the last 12 months, What's your favorite episode?
My favorite episode is the next episode that we're going to do.
And it's always looking forward, but I'm asking you to look backward.
Favorite episode would be, I know it hasn't been released yet, but any of the Central Otago ones were stunning. I think they were really fun. Like the one coming up, Watch Your Space, Prophet's Rock. I think that was the location, the wines, the people, the person. It all came together.
Yeah, got it. I thought Mark Walloof's episode, if I'm purely thinking about last 12 months, that episode where Mark kind of brought on all of the different wine faults. And looking back, I'm like, how the hell did he know that these wines had these specific faults? Because there was like 6 of them. So enlightening and also helped us in terms of what we can taste and pick out from wines. Probably my fave,
The other episode that it was favorite, but also more of a revelation as well, is the one that we recently did with Mark Balderstone with glassware. Like, I never thought about how much glassware impacts tasting wine. And even recently, we tried one wine at the winery with the winemaker. It tasted good. Went back into the apartment, tasted bad. Then I took it back home and tried on my glasses and tasted good again.
Yes.
So it impacts it so much. And sometimes it feels that maybe through our wine journey, we're tasting wines and maybe we're loving it or hating it without it being a true translation of what the winemaker intended for the wine.
Yeah, massive lesson, really eye-opening. Not just that discussion, but that experience as well. Yeah. We basically said all of the wines that we tasted were gross. And then you took it back and then you said, oh, actually, they were pretty good because you had it in a different glass. Yeah. So that's kind of reflecting back on our favorite episodes. If we move on to other topics, let's think about winemaker interviews. And we know we've got these ones that are coming up, that are yet to be released. But thinking about the ones that we've done so far over the last 12 months, if I, again, look at what the audience has been enjoying, it was Tyrrell's. The interview with Chris, that was number one in terms of what they enjoyed over the last while. Which was your favourite so far?
I'll probably concur with that one. Like, Tyrrell's fantastic. So knowledgeable, such a great storyteller. Having not really delved into the Tyrrell's wine range, the wines itself, the history, and taking us through that journey, I think that was a really beautiful experience as well. Yeah. So I'll agree with that one.
It was such a memorable experience to be experiencing that with him and his dad. I think for me, like, all of the interviews from the winemakers were all good. That's a genuine statement. I learned so much from each and every one of them. I kind of think of this in terms of the one that's probably impacted me the most, and that was the interview with Keppel Smith. So we had that interview around Savaterre, and there was a lot of gems that came out of there. But one thing he said was, to really appreciate the wines that we have and the wines that we're tasting, we need to try the great wines. And it actually altered the way that I wanted to taste wines, and even selections for our episodes. I wanted to go, let's go check out Rhone. Let's see what's in that space. What else is happening in the Burgundy world? Because he did say, let's get the benchmark of what's great, and then we can assess what's good. So for me, that's probably my favorite winemaker interview.
And that's how I always say, drink more, try more, learn more, is it?
That's right. And taking that another step further, it's like, which ones to try more of? Yeah. Let's try the great ones, and then we can measure the others.
And asking those questions all the time about, like, why is this different? Why do I like this? Why do I not like this as well?
Yeah, absolutely. 2 more. Let's go. Wine of the year. And this is taken from all of our different platforms, just in terms of stats. And the one that's actually had the most interest was the recent CDP wine.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and it was a little short that was done. It was a 2011 Clos de Pape, Chateauneuf de Pape, which I was surprised by. I didn't think that would be a quite keen interest. But looking back in the past 12 months, what's the wine that's really blown your mind?
Whoa, can I come back to you on that one? You go first.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been hard, and I want to do both local and international, because we're absolutely supporting Australia, support local. I'll go with the international first. So it was the 2021 Circa JL Chave from Northern Rhone. And that blew my mind, because it's like, I've never had the grape variety. I think it was a Rousson or a milestone. I've got to go look it up. But the layers of complexity within that wine, I was like, wow, okay, this is what can be done. And then those honeycomb notes that were coming through it, I just thought it really took me aback. And then the other one for local, it's actually really hard to say.
It's really hard.
There's so many good ones coming out of Australia. And some candidates that I was thinking about was the Reserve Pinot from Savaterre. But and the other one was probably the 06 Tyrrells that we had.
Oh, yes.
With Chris,
Yes.
which is like, oh my God, is this what Semillon's about? That's so good. But one that I keep thinking in my mind is the Bindi. We had the Pinot Noir, I think it was the Bindi K. And we only had it one night, and just the level of fruit and intensity that was coming out of that, and then the layers of complexity. But also it was to celebrate your birthday previously. It was a gift for that. So all of those kind of put together made that really special.
Oh, you had some good ones there. Like that Semillon or Semillon from Tyrrells, that's definitely up there.
And you always got to say both, right? Because they do say both, Semillon and Semillon. Yeah.
But the one that did also capture me as well was a museum release, Crawford River Riesling. They had a real review.
All right, yeah.
Top wineries of Australia.
Yeah.
Like that type of kind of textured, kind of off-dry style, kind of Germanic style Riesling.
Nice.
From that one is amazing. I've been wanting to kind of head out there. I mentioned to you a couple of times as well, not too far from Coonawarra, but it's like, it is in the middle of nowhere. And I want you guys to try it because I know you guys will love it as well.
Yeah.
I think, the Tyrrells, that one, the Char was definitely up there. And the other one also that also captured me at the real review was around Nick Farr's wine. So we're going to try this one later on. Not this one, but we had the other ones there, like the Sangreal, the Pinot Noir there from Nick Farr. I go, oh, this is very Burgundy-esque style type of Pinots. And I thought that it's more kind of down your alley.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need to get to this wine. I've got one more, and then we'll talk about the wine that we're going to celebrate with food and wine pairings. It's something that we're trying to do, and if you think about the last 12 months, this was a surprise to me. What do you think was the most viewed or engaged
halal snack pack
pairing? The halal snack pack.
Is it?
It wasn't actually. I thought it might have been that. It was the Vietnamese beef noodle soup, the pho.
Oh yeah,
with the Alperinho.
Oh wow,
which was surprising, but it was also a good pairing actually. If you think about the last 12 months, what's your man? That's a good pairing.
Personally, I love every single kind of food and wine pairing because I love the little challenges because I love to eat, and that's probably what brought me into wine in the first place. But if it had to be one, Cambodian curry is definitely up there as well.
Really?
That was delicious. Okay. That was delicious. Kebab.
With which wine?
Oh, it was like
Cambo curry was with the Gewürz or the Riesling, so it would have been the Gewürz. Yeah, got it.
Was that with the Hugel? No, with the
Signed Hind?
Signed Humbrecht, yeah. Yeah, so that was delicious. Probably that one, Cambo curry.
Nice.
Because that was also delicious as well, cooked by your mate, Al.
Yeah, Mr. Bandel and his mum cooked a good Cambo curry. I said this in Christmas, I can't get away from it. It's still the kebab or the halal snack pack with the sparkling Shiraz, the Great Westerns. It was the best Great Western, sparkling Shiraz. Killer combo, still the highlight.
Yeah.
Still the highlight. So that's kind of a few things that we've been reminiscing on. Let us know in the comments below what you think your favorite episodes, food, wine pairing, or wine has been over the last 12 months of the Wind-Up. We're here to celebrate, and we've got a wine in front of us. Trent, did you want to talk about the wine? What is it?
So we were talking about what wine do we pick to celebrate our 2-year anniversary, and you said, oh, we should do something like a Burgundian Pinot or Chardonnay because it kind of shows our kind of wine journey from when we're drinking cask wine at the start to now drinking, being a wine wanker, Burgundian Pinot. Let's do something Australian but with a kind of Burgundian slant on it, and said, oh, let's try the By Farr wines because I saw it before that, it's starting to get awards. It's known in Hong Kong, it's known in UK, and it's got, a really good kind of name to it. I thought it'd be good for you to try.
Yeah.
this one, and I haven't tried this one as well, and get your thoughts on what you think about it. So I think it's very justified as part of our celebration.
It is, and it's not the cheapest wine on there, but this is a celebration that we want to get. And we got this from iHeartWine, iHeartWine.com.au, which has got a great selection of wines.
It's not the cheapest, but it's also cheaper than Burgundy as well.
Yes, yeah, that's right. And maybe that's a good thing we didn't go down that route into the dollars. I've never had a wine by Farr. Yeah. And straight off the bat, smelling this wine, my goodness, it smells good, right? Yeah. We always talk about those ones that you want to wear as a cologne, but this has got that kind of savory, herby notes to it.
So while we taste this one, I'm going to ask you some other questions as well, Jase. So one of the questions we get all the time, which I think we also stumble on as well, where did you get your passion for wine for?
Yeah.
You know, and the kind of build from that one. So how did the podcast start? So have you had a bit more thought about, where did you actually come across wine and how did it kind of come into your life?
Yeah. I don't need to think too much about where I came across wine because it's linked to alcohol. And in the heydays of youth, going out, having a good time, it'd be beers, it'd be spirits, it'd be everything else. And
it wouldn't be wine though. It is beers and spirits when I think about it. It wasn't wine.
It wouldn't be wine. Wine would be in a restaurant somewhere and someone would be bringing some wine. But in terms of actually thinking about the wine, I didn't put much thought. It was like, it's something to enjoy my time with, nothing else. It was probably, for me, 3 or 4 years ago. And I think there was a culmination of things that were happening together. One was like, you'd introduced me to some good wines, some great wines. For my birthday, you've given me the Barolo on my 40th, and that kind of made me go, hold on, there's something special about this wine. But it wasn't just the wine itself. It was like, I will always remember having that with you at our house and our mates and just enjoying that. So it kind of put a stamp in that memory, and that's what the wine could have done. But also it piqued my interest around what else is out there, because my challenge is, how do I know which wine is good? What do I choose for a food and wine pairing? The greatest thing that makes me anxious is being at a restaurant and go, Jase, you choose the wine. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to choose. So it was that. And then also at the same time, there was social media influence. Like Erin Larkin was doing a lot of videos out there. And the way she talked about wine, it was like, oh, wow, these things could be special. I want to go to Margaret River. And she actually inspired me to do that, like to make that trip to do so. So I kind of marry all of those things together. And I thought, A, there's a curiosity that I have. B, why can't they simplify it and make it easier for understand? And then C, wine tastes great and it creates some great memories. So let's start this journey on it. It was kind of those three factors.
I think it's been spectral. I say that we wouldn't have the podcast probably without you kind of pushing the idea around the podcast. I was purely just a wine drinker rather than putting it through into a podcast format. Yeah. So without you, I don't think we'll have this one. But when I think about where my wine journey started, I actually started to look through like blog posts and stuff like that where it started. I actually pinned it back to a month, which was in April 2009.
Wow, that's very specific. Yeah.
Where we were in the UK, my wife and I, and said, let's do a trip to Italy, and went to Piedmont area, not knowing what wine it's famous for. And we're having pastas, and then the person that owned the hotel there said, oh, we're popular for wine here, like barbarescos. So we visited some wineries, and that's where I think it kind of started. Then we realized, later on in the year, it's also truffle season as well. So it came back in November. On the same year, came back with truffles and started having that with barbarescos as well. And also they went to like a Barbera wine festival as well. And so it kind of then snowballed from there. And then later that year, had my parents come over and did a trip through Burgundy.
Yeah.
And, everyone's just so friendly there and took us down to this kind of wine cellar. Had some amazing wines. I didn't realize I had some like Corton kind of Burgundy wines already, but it was just more the memory about, again, the people, my parents at that time that really kind of drew me to it. And then just the January after that, in 2010, went to a St. Vincent's Wine Festival. So each year, one of the villages in Burgundy will kind of celebrate the patron saint of St. Vincent, which is the patron saint of winemaking.
Mm.
And that year was in Jase, Montrachet. And we just had it there again with friends. We walked through the village, kind of eating snails, rillettes, having wine with a wine around your kind of neck, drinking a bit, eating a bit. I think that kind of then snowballed through. And then went away from it. And then you brought me back into the wine world, and hence the podcast.
I brought you back. Who was that friend that you were with? Because you've mentioned this person a couple of times. How do you know them? Don't need to say the name, but who was that friend?
The one that took us to the wine festival? Yeah. It's actually an old schoolmate. Yeah. So I didn't realize he was in the UK. And so we caught up with him, his wife as well. And then, he was into Burgundy, white Burgundies at that point in time. Yeah. And then, took us through, and I brought a couple of friends as well and just made a bit of a trip.
So these kind of key influences of your social group kind of help people on the wine journey. I'm a bit surprised at what you said, because I didn't think it was a joint journey in terms of wanting to start this podcast, because we would do these Easter getaways and have this discussion about there's just something there. What is it that kind of pushed you over the line and said, you know what, I'm enjoying my wine, but I'm going to share this journey with the world? What made you do that decision? I'm hoping it's not just me going, Trent, let's do this.
No. Well, I think everyone needs that kind of push, just like in corporate life, everyone kind of talks a lot, but then the actions aren't there. Yeah. But then we said, let's give it a crack and do a pilot episode. Yeah. And after that pilot episode, which we'll never kind of show to air.
Yeah. I've still got it.
I thought, okay, I kind of get this now. When you see it, even though you're cringing and watching yourself and listening to yourself, you go, okay, I get there's something there.
Yeah.
And then at that point in time, I don't think I would have envisaged how much fun it would be.
Yeah.
And how much, I'll probably regret it if we never had the journey as well. Like the places we've been, the people we've seen, the people we've spoken to.
Yes.
It's been an amazing journey.
Yeah.
But it took your little push at the start to kind of get us along this.
Did you feel, in those discussions, it was kind of like, the thing that we saw listening on social media and watching social media was, it was always a professional.
Yes.
Like, it was a somm, it was a winemaker, it was the professional wine critics having their views. And again, going back to the thoughts of the week that I had, it was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I think all I knew before, I was just like any kind of wine taster looking at how many medals are on the wine bottle. Our mate Manny is like that as well. Let's buy the bottle with the most medals on it.
Yeah.
Let's buy the one that has the most points rating on it, because I know points, the higher the points, the better it is. And there's always about, the person with the big eyebrows that kind of says what it is.
Yeah.
And that's not me. But if it says good, then you kind of trust that. But it was that kind of old guard that kind of spoke about wine, and that was what it was, like that's how I knew about wine. It was always through my grandpa, through my parents, through my uncles that were drinking wine. It wasn't us. We don't go to the clubs and start drinking wine.
Yes.
We're doing
it'd be
beer and
there's some shots, I won't say the names, but yeah, that's right.
Exactly. So I thought there's definitely something special.
Yeah. And I do think when we saw that gap there, I still think that's the case. There's not enough people who are talking about it from the lens of an amateur. And that's really why we wanted to start this as well, is what I think about. It's kind of having that confidence to go, look, we don't really know much, but we'll share what we learn with you. And maybe that encourages you with it.
And having a bit of fun while doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's true as well, when people say the less the people know, the more they kind of push back or create that kind of feeling of I'm better than you.
Yeah.
But the wine world is so friendly. Yes. It is so accepting. They're so gracious, courteous with everything they do provide as well. In terms of us being, you always say, "Who are we?" Yeah. To amateurs go this wine journey, and they have so much hospitality and time and openness for us.
Yeah. It's so true. We're 2 years in, and they're still warm and friendly. There isn't that douche that's out there. If we think about who this podcast is aimed at, like, who do you think this podcast is really for? And are we reaching that audience?
I think it's a broad audience that we reach. I think it spans from the people kind of entering the wine world, but also the people that have been in the wine world as well. I can see that probably in the community. I think you kind of need that kind of broad appeal, but that kind of still kind of breaking down the barriers, make it fun. Like for me, I think wine has always been a conduit for people and engagement, and I still feel that as a thing. You know, you can still talk about the wine, still love the wine, but it's the people aspect in the end.
Yep. I always envisage this for the noobs, and if I was to introduce myself, I'd still say I'm the wine noob. 2 years in, I've certainly learned quite a lot.
Not the wine wanker.
Not the wine wanker. The noob is the guy that doesn't really know much about it, but wants to know more. Yeah. And that's what I feel we've been trying to do. We'll ask, and often I'll say very dumb things in the descriptors, but we'll ask these questions to kind of learn what that is. And it's really interesting because that's who I'm targeting. It's like those people that enjoy a drink maybe think wine's a bit too complicated or snobby, but if they can see us trying to work it out, then they'd enjoy it as well. It's really interesting, but that the wine world there's so much knowledge out there that those that are already embedded in the community are also engaging because there's things that they want to share, or there's things that they've also learned from the discussions that we've had with others. Yeah. So it is that wide breadth, yeah. And
I love that how it's been a platform for sharing knowledge through the community as well. Like, you know, recently, you know, someone's kind of reached out and talked about, you know, what it is looking at Australian wines in the Chinese market and what do they start thinking about it. You know, we had Grape Crusader, you kind of touched on before, talking about kind of English wine as well, and the evolution of that one. Like people are reaching out saying, give us the voice on what we're thinking, what we're seeing in the market, which is great.
Which is awesome. Did you have any other questions that you wanted to go through?
What are you most proud of with the podcast?
Yeah, that's a question I was thinking about because, you know what, the past 12 months, first year was awesome. And it's like, wow, we're doing a podcast and this is really cool. And we've had great people to interview, great wines to meet. Second year, that continued, but I kind of felt like it ramped up. Like the number of wineries and winemakers and people reaching out and people in the industry has increased, and we've got to learn so much more. But also, like, if I think about big milestones, we got some recognition within the industry. So the Australian Wine Communicator Awards, for example, we were finalists in terms of best social media.
We should have won that.
We should have won that as well. We were recently listed as the top 30 wine influencers in Australia at number 15, which is like, where the hell did that come from? That's a milestone.
We should have won that one as well.
We should. It wasn't an award or anything, but we should be number one. Is what I'm saying. We've got a while to go. What else? What else did we get? Our website build. We got the best website build in 2024 for thewinedup.com.au. So there was some really big milestones, and then even the number of views and people following us. But to be honest, it's the feedback we get. Like when I'm hearing Tony Park say, "You guys are doing a great job," and recommending us to his social media following in terms of our ability to spread wine education, I'm like, wow. That's amazing, and he's based in the UK. Or when we're getting feedback from people that we're interviewing that, you know, what we've asked them they've never heard before, or that we've been able to, I guess, provide a less arrogant view on wine and share that perspective. It's that kind of feedback that I'm super proud of.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think similarly, it's all about kind of people and community, but it's also, we kind of set our goals each year. And I think, you know, whether it be subscribers, viewers, episodes, content, and we've been so consistent and working as a team to deliver on that. Yeah. And I know sometimes we then stop and reflect on what we've actually done. It's like, oh my God, how much have we done? How much have we reached? How much have we achieved? Yeah. It's been amazing with such a small little team. Yes. And kind of working together. Yeah. On top of family, kids, day jobs, everything to get that done. That's probably what I'm most proud of. Yeah.
I think it's a great team that we've been working together. Very proud to and fortunate to be working with you all.
Yeah. Next one for you is we kind of talked about, our audience, what we've achieved. Now we've talked about kind of vision as well, and the key messages that we still need to push or keep pushing within our podcast, our platform, within the community. What are those key messages, do you think?
I think for me, it's wine's approachable. Don't be scared of it. The wine industry, the people in there, they're all great people, and they're friendly and they want to share. I think the other one is about supporting local. So we're here in Australia and we've spoken to international and local winemakers, as well as others within the industry, wine reviewers, and they've always said that Australia is producing high quality wine that we need to be proud of and shouting about. So we always have an option to try international wines. And we do that on the podcast as well. But, we're here in Australia. Let's support what's out there. And I think the last thing is around family and independent businesses. I think it's hard right now and it's hard in the wine industry, but there's a lot of independent families and independent bottle shops out there that are like, look, we're here to help you enjoy your wine as well. Have a look at us. We produce great quality. So how do we give them a voice is probably another key thing. Look at those families and independents.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, again, supporting local. It's on our website. I think one of the points, I speak to my wife earlier as well. Did you see James Suckling? And we talk about Australia as a continent compared to the other kind of wine regions. It's massive. And we kind of stopped thinking about, we need to communicate. It's not just Australian wine. It's, Margaret River wine. It's great southern wine. It's, Henty wine. It's, Upper Yarra, Lower Yarra wines. There's Coal River, Tasmania wine. It's all these different areas, and talk about the specificity around the different wines and expressions of the wines, of the great wines that we have within Australia as well. And, we have this podcast that we're going to talk to as well. But, other good thing that we've kind of done as a team as well is also put together a newsletter as well that you can also subscribe to, that talks about those local wineries, those local bottle shops, and the information that we have as well in the podcast to kind of share with you guys so that you can support them through us.
Yeah, absolutely. Go on thewinedup.com.au, have a look at the different directories there for wineries as well as boutique and independent bottle shops. But also subscribe to the newsletter. There's great things coming out. Also some great discounts that we've got for our members there. So every month you'll get some good discounts out there.
Yeah, good shout. Other thing, besides vision, year 3's coming up now around the corner.
Yes.
We're looking forward to year 3. I think end of year 1, we said we were going to do, was it Central Otago? We've kind of now kind of done that.
Yeah. It took another year to get fulfill that vision.
Year 3.
Yeah. Year 3, I'm still on the Australian vibe, to be honest. And some of them might be achievable. I've probably got 2 on my list. One, I want to go down to Tassie and check out the wineries. Shout out the region, help kind of celebrate and announce what's fantastic that's coming out of the area. But the
Lock
other one,
Tassie, here we come.
Lock it in. Hey, you set me up in regards to this. But the other one that we've had, and we've just had a recent interview about this, is Great Southern.
Yeah.
Right? Great Southern is one of those things that have just crept up, and I've probably been under a rock, but only in the last 12 months have I gone, hold on, there's lots of great stuff coming out of Great Southern, Riesling, sparkling, etc. Love to visit that. Yeah. What about you?
Completely agree with Tassie. So that's why I said kind of lock it in. So we'll do that this year. And it's not too far away from where we are.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other one outside of kind of just traveling, I think there's still a lot of other kind of wine regions globally and kind of wine varietals to kind of try as well. I'm thinking Greek.
Yeah.
Different types of Italian varietals. The ones that we've always had in the backlog, we never touched on, is around the Verona area, Valpolicella.
Yeah.
I always said, let's do that. We never get to do it. So there's so much more as well around Italy. Margaret River, Great Southern, to your point. Also, the one that's a stone throws away from us is Orange as well. I feel like we haven't given Orange enough love.
Yeah. We did some episodes there, but there's certainly more.
There's so much more. Like we had the Cool Climate
dinner,
and some great Chardonnays. especially around that area. I feel we can delve a lot more into that space as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know in the comments below what you guys think we should visit, where we should visit within Australia to kind of highlight the region. What are you thinking about this wine?
I'm loving this wine. Like when I think about like what wines I like, when you talk about appreciating wines, the wines I like is kind of like concentrated fruit, deep, and also not bunchy. It is stemmy, twiggy.
Yep.
That type of wines, and this is kind of like tick box across all those.
Yeah.
And this is type of wine that I like.
Yeah.
Maybe less fruit driven, more still the fruit's still there, but it has a kind of branchy, stemmy kind of forest.
It's got
floor,
everything else on top of it. Yeah.
Forest floor type of thing onto it.
Yeah. I think that savory and that branchy aroma and taste to it is amazing. But you talked about not being fruit driven. I think for me, what was surprising, and having tasted so many of the other Pinots from Central Otago, is that actually for me, I felt like the intensity of the fruit in the palate really stands out. It's a bit more concentrated in comparison to what we were tasting back then. But it's a delicious wine. Corkscrew ratings.
Oh, it's definitely 8. Just thinking 9 or 8. That's all I'm thinking.
I'm thinking 8. And that's probably something I've learned along this journey, that we gotta leave some distinction between greatness and what's good. And this is definitely a great Aussie wine, but we need to leave some space.
Okay, 8 for me then. 8.
That's awesome.
I've got a couple more questions for you. Okay. How's the podcast changed you personally and professionally?
Yeah. I think the podcast has been really interesting because it's been, I'm not going to lie, there's been stress from it, right? We're already jam-packed in our lives. We've got corporate world, we've got family, it's pressures economically and financially and so forth. And then, you know what, we're going to add some more on top of that. Let's do some wine reviewing, editing, etc. But personally, I haven't experienced so much growth and enjoyment in a while in comparison to the last 2 years, right? That added stress has kind of pushed me to kind of work out, what do I enjoy? And I enjoy wine, obviously, but I really enjoy this creative aspect to it. Like, we were talking to a winemaker recently where he can't sleep at night because he's thinking about the 1%ers to improve. And that's me. I'm thinking about, what topics can we cover? How can we better improve our editing process? What things can we do to really add more value to our listeners? So it's kind of helped me find what I enjoy.
Yeah.
That's what it's done. What about you?
I think, there's bad stress and there's good stress. I think this is kind of good stress. And with all the stuff that goes on with life and routine and work and everything, it's ever more present that you need that outlet, be it exercise or this creative outlet. So again, thank you for kind of pushing us on this journey. But, this has really helps me find personal balance, and also even in corporate life as well. It's always about, everything's very complicated, or people overcomplicate things, and it helps me kind of uncomplicate things even outside of wine aspects, work aspect. Go, hey, let's get back to basics. This is what we're talking about. Help communicate simplicity or through the complexity that we all often create ourselves.
That's the one thing that I found interesting. Like, it's really helped put things into context when you have something else to focus on. Like, if I didn't have this, I'd be like 100% always thinking about work and stressing out. But because I've got something else to focus on, it forces me to balance. And it surprisingly, even though it's added more on top, it's helped balance out the workload.
Next question. What's something that you learned about me during the podcast that you didn't know before?
Okay. Learned about you that you didn't know before. You've asked me that question before already. I think I got to give a different answer this time.
While you think about that, I'll give you my one. Like, I always knew you were creative, but didn't know how creative you were, like how much into it you were.
Yeah.
Like all the editing, all the different software, all the different things, like seeing you in your element with lighting, cameras, mics, audio, and everything like that. Like, I never saw that side of you before the podcast. And that's probably the one thing I learned about you, how into it, that creativity.
I think for me, it's very much about you want people to be enjoying themselves and living a happy life. That's the way I see it. I think what I've learned is whenever you're hosting a gathering or so forth, you'll always put on a great spread. You and your wife will produce some great food and make sure everyone's having a good time. You always make sure we're having great wine, and that's a part of why this is key part of the podcast, because you know what's good and so forth. But I think about when we're under stressful moments in trying to set up and do an interview, when something's just not working or the lighting's crap, or we'll get a video where there's so much noise in the video we feel like it's unusable. But you're always calm under pressure. And what you'll do is you'll try and crack a joke to lighten the mood. And I think that's what I've learned about you. I think you just want to make sure people are having a good time and being happy. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe it's perspective. We're not saving lives. We're creating a podcast sometimes.
Yeah, that's right. But all of those different things, because it's so important, come together. But you're always good at lifting it back up.
This is going to be a fun one. I thought this one is, I asked AI about these questions, by the way, a couple of them.
Yeah.
Is if the WineDup podcast was a wine, what descriptors would you give it?
Bloody hell.
I'll give you my one first. On the eye, yellowish hue, because they're both Asian.
Yep, agree.
On the nose, fresh, red, blue, black fruits, bit of everything, intriguing and alluring, because it can cover all bases.
Yeah.
On the palate, lively, broad, but uncomplicated. Fun, fresh acidity with a continual development and evolution of flavors.
Bloody hell. It's good you prep for this, because coming out with a good answer like that is difficult. Yellow, I agree with. We're pretty yellow. Look, off the bat, when you asked that question, I automatically thought rosé. It's not necessarily a descriptor for wine, but it's kind of the style of wine, and that's because yes, we've got the acid and the fun factor about it. We're trying to be serious as well and learn more. So we've got the tannin and the grip, and we're kind of got that diversity spreading across all of the different regions and grape varieties. So rosé would be my answer. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, let's see how this podcast / wine develops over time. But I'll probably leave it as that and see how year 3 goes.
Yeah, that's probably another thing that I've learned, that you really got some good thought into what to say and have these puns. It's good. It's been a great 2 years and looking forward to more years in regards to this. Thank you so much.
Ching ching.
Enjoying me on this journey.
Thank you.
And again, thanks to our fantastic team out there who's made this happen. None of this happens without them. Thanks to the community also. Like we said earlier, let us know in the comments below for year 3, what do you want us to cover? Where do you want us to visit? What wines do you want us to taste? That's us at The Wine Up. As we say here, drink more, try more, learn more. Thanks all.